There we go. Almost ripped it right apart.
She did the same thing.
I had to save her. I had to. All I want to do is cut and break it.
Sorry. No, that's
Well, yeah, I mean, my hand is waving in front of it.
That's what it wasn't our people last time, right? That was that I was just tired, I had a number of many. Oh, what's that called? I'm not ready for this. You're fine, you're Now I don't have to. I should make sense. College forever. Hi. Good. Yeah, theoretically.
How are you? Another day in paradise.
Absolutely. That's why we're having a party.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know?
I haven't heard anything about that.
I went Nobody's gonna get me.
Not right now. going that way or this way or. Are we having fun yet, y'all?
I'm trying.
I'm sorry. You should be having
I'm not, I thought we did our 2 years and then we were good for about 10 years. It didn't happen.
I told you I was supposed to be here.
Oh, I thought they were coming out.
No, sir, I'm really not playing. We're not done. So
Ready?
Edward.
It's a little different.
Am I in your way?
No, you are perfectly fine.
I'm just hoping it will help me be a little less patient. I'm not the studiest person ever.
Yeah.
Friends told me to do it vertically.
Hey, Bob. Revenue. Neil, it is awful. Hey, man.
Hey, how you doing, Stu?
Good. We'll get started in just a minute, as soon as we can get everyone on post. There's a few chairs around on the side too, if anyone wants to have a seat. Let me welcome everyone to the Emergency Operations Center here in Beaufort. We've got a good bit to talk about today. We're going to have a little bit of Q&A when Neil gives his brief. We've got some things that we need to cover first. Then there's the what ifs. We all been talking about what ifs for the past couple of days, and we'll cover those as best we can. And then we've got some graphs we want to put up, and that way we can kind of explain what those are and what detail we're allowed to kind of give you the opportunity to see what we've been dealing with all day and what we will hopefully not have to deal with, but it looks like we probably will be very focused for the next couple of days on this particular storm. So Neil, if you want to do the graphs first, or if you want to talk first, however you want to do it. Hey, man.
You want those up?
Yeah, when you get ready for them. Let's go ahead and get those up, and then Neil can cover some of the things that that he can do verbally before we get to the graphs. The graphs are important because it's a visual aid that kind of gives you a clearer and better depiction on what we're talking about when we start talking about what our focus is going to be over the next couple of days. It's not pretty. I know probably everyone has seen some different pictures of what the storm represents for Beaufort County, for South Carolina, and for our coast. But the pictures are not something I don't think anyone in here wants, but we have to be prepared for it, and we need to stay focused. And I think that's the big key right now. But let me say also, while Neil's working on that, we have a number of PIOs here in the room. And if you could meet with Captain Bromage after we finish the press conference downstairs in the conference room, because we need to get focused also on the social media part of what we need to do starting today. You good?
Yes, sir.
Colonel Bax.
Right, good afternoon, folks. First off, I want to start off, this is not Matthew. This is not Hurricane Matthew. This is Irma. It's going to be an entirely different scenario, and it's going to be considerably more impactful to South Carolina than Matthew was. That's coming from the National Weather Service, the experts. That's not Neil Baxley talking, that's the experts. What we're looking at is right now, you've all seen the weather. You know that it's a Category 5 storm, and it's been holding that together for about 24 hours. That's not expected to last because that's just a difficult thing for the storm to do, to sustain itself at a Category 5 for an extended period of time. So what the experts are having to do, the weather folks are having to do, and emergency management's following along with them, is they're modeling all the different potential situations, scenarios that could come about. It's boiled down to 3, and these are the 3 that we're looking at. The first one over here is the storm goes on through the Florida Straits about Sunday or so into the Gulf and then makes a right turn. It's going to make a right turn regardless. The question is where. If it's scenario 1, it makes this right turn in the Gulf, goes up through the Gulf, the Florida Panhandle, on up into the state of Georgia, and an increased tornado threat. And we do have that situation to worry about. Second scenario is it makes the right turn and it makes landfall in South Florida and it drags up the peninsula, which will scrub off some of the speed. Even if it makes as a Category 5, it would not be a 5 when it got to South Carolina, probably more along the lines of a 3. But still, a Category 3 coming up basically up I-95 or up 301 is going to be pretty impactful for us. The threat there would be hurricane force winds, tornadoes, heavy rain, and some storm surge. Unfortunately, right now with all the modeling, scenario 3 looks like reality for Beaufort County. If you'll turn around and take a look at the HurrVac model, this has got the latest track from the National Hurricane Center as of 11 a.m. And it is showing the right turn, and it is showing basically scenario 3 dragging up the east coast of Florida. And if you extend it on up on this, and this is more than 5 days out, so there's very low confidence in this, but that's a landfall in lower South Carolina as probably a Category 3 storm. We haven't had one of those in Beaufort County in over 100 years. So there might be one person in the room that has experienced that, but the rest of us haven't. Sharon, you might remember it. Laugh for me, little bit of levity there. Okay.
No way.
All right.
You're on your own. Man.
Yeah, I know. I'm out here I'm on my own. So here's what we're facing. We're facing major surge impacts. Right now, the modeling under this scenario, the modeling is predicting 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. 10 to 15 feet in Beaufort County. And this is still, again, low confidence because it's more than 5 days out. But we've got a plan for this eventuality. What was 15 foot of surge do to us? Pretty much put the majority of the county underwater for a while. Think about Matthew, go back to Matthew. We had a 4-foot surge in part of the county, and you all remember the boats on the runway at Ladies Island Airport that came from Dautaw 5 miles away. That was only 4 foot. Picture 10 to 15 feet. So we've got a plan for this one. You plan for the worst and be thankful for what better happens. So where we're at now, Beaufort County is at OPCON 4. These are internal operating conditions that just give us stair steps in our preparation. It means nothing to the public except that we're changing our readiness posture. OPCON 4, we're checking all of our checklists, reviewing our agreements, making sure everything is, all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. We've been doing that for 2 days now, talking with our various vendors that supply resources to us and all this sort of thing. That is key because a lot of resources have been diverted to Texas. Obviously, they desperately need the help, whatever is going on out there. And now if Florida takes a landfall, stuff is being pre-positioned for it. So resources will become a huge priority for us. The agreements we already have in place will go a long way towards helping Beaufort County respond to this event. The next OPCON obviously is number 3. We haven't made a decision when we will do that, but when we do go to OPCON 3, what that means is we start pre-positioning assets and resources. We start restricting our personnel movement, you know, who's on vacation, canceling vacations, that kind of thing, and we start moving stuff to where it needs to be. OPCON 2 is us getting ready for an evacuation, and OPCON 1 is we're embracing the event however long that may happen. None of those decisions have been made yet, No timeline has been established for that to happen for a specific, at a specific hour, specific day. But that's where we're at. We are facing a major threat to Beaufort County. This is one, again, we have not faced this serious of threat in a long, long time. We faced the last one with Floyd. It went north of us. That's been well over a decade ago, and we have not had a landfall of this magnitude in over 100 years. So it's going to be quite an eye-opener for everybody. That's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Before we do questions and answers, we have several mayors that are here, and we welcome you to the EOC. Mayor Bennett, if you would like to make any comments, or Salka.
I just appreciate everything you're doing, and the communication, I can already tell, is 10 times better.
Mayor Murray, Mayor Coslin,
Just keep the communication coming. That's right, thank you for your.
Mr. Cubic.
No, everything seems to be in order. We're planning for all three scenarios that Neil outlined, and that's what we're supposed to do, and we're ready.
Most important thing, PJ Wood.
One of the things that, and I can tell you that the phones have been pretty well lit up all day, wanting to know when we would actually call for an evacuation. We don't know. And you know, and that's, you know, again, you got three scenarios behind me. All three of those scenarios require a different thought process when it comes to an evacuation. But something we must remember on all three of these scenarios, and if it comes to a point to where we have an evacuation, you got to remember that we will have three states evacuating in the same direction. And we went through that during Hurricane Hugo, where we had Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina evacuating at the same time. This won't be as severe because Florida is already moving inward. I think the Keys in Miami are evacuating as we speak. But when we get to that point, here we go again, is we're going to ask people if they can plan and plan now to make a decision on what they think they should do. They need to be prepared. If it looks like an evacuation, and it looks like if this storm slows a little bit, just a little bit, maybe a few miles an hour, it'll give us a little more breathing room and probably bring us into late weekend, if not first of next week. But it's at a 16-mile-an-hour pace, which is almost ridiculous at the pace it's at. And if that continues and it picks up pace, then it's going to offer a whole different scenario to us as to what we start looking at when in the form of evacuation. Is this a Sunday, a Saturday? You know, right now we're not thinking it's going to be a Friday, but it could potentially be a Saturday and a Sunday. But we just don't know. And those are the what ifs that, you know, we've just got to kind of play along with and just rely on the reports that we get from the National Weather Service to give us a timeline. Now, during Hurricane Matthew, the spooky thing about the evacuation, it was really too smooth, and it suggested to us that no one's leaving, or everyone's gone, or everyone's waiting for that 11th hour. You know, I'll just wait, and I've got everything loaded, I'm ready to go. I'll just watch the Weather Channel, and if it looks like I need to go, I'll go. The fear this time is that the folks that stayed during Hurricane Matthew will leave, and those who left will stay. So you really don't know, you know, what to expect. We just hope that everyone, and I'm sure that Beaufort County citizens now, they watch these storms very closely in their personal lives, on their personal iPads and computers and iPhones and Weather Channel, and hopefully they're listening to what we're saying today. And I know the governor's got a press conference at 2 o'clock, the same time we started ours. But it's important that they look and keep a very, very close eye on these models and what these models represent. Because a Category 3 coming in and making landfall anywhere near the coast of Beaufort County or in South Carolina is a horrible thought for Beaufort County. If anyone's had the opportunity to look at any of the St. Martin video over the past 5 or 6 hours to see what 185-mile-an-hour winds will do to an island, it's not something that anyone wants to be a part of. And with a 15-foot tidal surge, and I know early on the storm was actually representing a 30-foot surge. So a 15-foot tidal surge in Beaufort County means everyone's foot is wet. There's really no place to go without dealing with water. How long the water stays is really dependent upon what the storm does. How we deal with reentry in a storm such as this, or dealing with the aftermath of a storm, is kind of dictated by the storm itself. And you know, so a lot of those things we have to kind of play by ear, because it could change multiple times within the hour. The important part for us now, where we're at, is again, our PIOs to meet with Captain Bromage downstairs, and let's make sure that we're all on the same page. That the information that we're giving to our citizens is all clear and you know, one voice, one message. That way we can make sure that everyone's getting the information, and it's consistent with what our plans are. Questions? And we'll try to find those. You got something else?
I want to touch one more thing. Obviously, everybody is looking for information, and we encourage them to get it from reliable sources. Each of the municipalities has the Facebook page, the Twitter page, and their own website. The sheriff's office has the same thing. The county has it. One more thing I want to add is our 1-800 reentry number. It's out there in a lot of places, but I want to reemphasize it. It's 1-800-963-5023. And of course, you get prompted if you live in the city of Beaufort, you live in the town of Bluffton, etc. And each of those PIOs will be reporting messages for that particular key punch. So, you know, the municipalities will have their individual message molded into the overall message from the county post-storm. As we're not updating it now because there's not any information to put out there. But as it develops, this will be the word. And if you're in wherever else you evacuate to, if that comes to that, this is the best source to get Beaufort County and the municipalities' information directly, rather than, you know, chasing rumors out there. Stay with the official, reliable sources. During Matthew, we found out there were 144 identified sources giving Matthew information, and a whole lot of it was erroneous. And that's the nicest thing I can say about it. So the 1-800 number, it's out there, it's on our websites, but that's for everybody, that's for every community, and that's key.
Will you read it off just one more time for us?
Yes, ma'am. You asked me to do that without my glasses. 1-800-963-5023.
Thank you.
And it's also in Spanish. The number in Spanish is 1-800-963-5023. That's two I tried for.
Good job. Mayor, Mr. Somerville, Chairman of County Council, I know he's here. Is there any comments you'd like to make? I'm sorry, I didn't overlook you earlier.
I don't have the additional stuff.
Okay, Mayor?
A question on the schools. Are you in contact with the school district on if they're gonna close before, if we see this getting closer to a Friday or a Monday? Do you have any input
Have
on
you
that?
updated today?
We have been talking with the school district since Sunday, and they are up to speed on everything. Is David in the room? Mr. Christmas in the room?
He is here, Colonel.
Okay, good, because the room's full. So they're in the room. Yes, ma'am, they're on board. Absolutely.
Sheriff,
Yes,
I just want to be clear that I heard you correctly. Under scenarios 2 and 3, you would anticipate a category 3 for Beaufort County. Is that correct?
That is potential, yes, sir. That is potential.
Tom Dunn, anything?
No, sir. Thank you.
You good? Okay. Questions?
When it comes to reentry, I know you said it will change over the course of, you know, you get closer to the storm and coming back, but are there any things that you guys have made change-wise? Because I know last year it was kind of a little unorganized, especially coming back into the county, and then with Hilton, had any changes that people can look forward to?
Well, I mean, what law enforcement did was very organized. We organized all of our roadblocks in the areas that they should have been placed, and that we did. The unorganized part of it is we had citizens returning based on information that was not accurate, which created the issues at our roadblocks. Again, we're trying to repair those this year with appropriate information being disseminated on a regular basis. Probably you'll get tired of hearing from us and tired of seeing it, because it's going to be that much information that we're going to pour out. And that way, if we can attract you to our source of information, then you'll rely on our information as the gospel, instead of every other opportunity out there to get information from Facebook or some of the other social media outlets. So those are the things that we are doing, that we're not done appropriately during Hurricane Matthew. Mr. Riley, you got anything?
No, sir.
Questions?
So what kinds of things should people be gathering now in preparation just in case? Like what kind of items from their
Go
homes?
through your roll list.
First off, we want to encourage folks that if the evacuation order comes, they leave. Okay? Bread and milk and water and all that stuff, if they buy it, they need to take it with them. You need to have your insurance forms, all that, mortgage paperwork, that sort of thing. Medicines, refill them today, tomorrow, no later than tomorrow, so that you've got full refills. Make your plans now. We understand, and this is anecdotal, but we understand right now it is nearly impossible to find a hotel room in South Carolina. And so we haven't, this is anecdotal, but it's already a problem. So you need to be planning, okay, if I can't go to Columbia or Greenville or Spartanburg, where am I going? So now you're looking at Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, further out, because again, Florida's moving. I've been in touch regularly with Chatham County and over across the river, and they're going to probably be moving a little later in the week, just like we're looking at the same scenario. That's not a definite, but everybody is planning in this direction. So people are already reserving their hotel rooms. Be thinking about where you're going, but you need to take your medicines, your important paperwork. If you're traveling with children, you need to be prepared to travel with children with games, entertainment, food, snacks, the kind of things they like. Pets, remember that a lot of hotels are not pet friendly. I think it's about 30-40% now are. If you choose to go to a public shelter, Red Cross shelter, they are not pet friendly. It's not allowed right now. So you need to plan, okay, what am I going to do with pets if I'm leaving? This sort of thing. And you need to be plan to go should the evacuation order come out. And I can't re-emphasize that enough. It has not happened yet. But should it happen, you need to be plan to be gone 3 to 5 days minimum. Because if a Category 3 type scenario develops in Beaufort County, you're not coming back the day after the storm. It's going to be a little while till we can get up. The first thing that we have to lift the roadblocks is a functioning emergency room. During Matthew, all 3 hospitals had to close, and Beaufort Memorial was the first one to get back up and running. The storm hit on Friday night, Saturday morning. Beaufort Memorial came back online Monday at noon, and that was in Matthew. This is not Matthew. So that is the first criteria. And then live power lines out of the roads, the second criteria, and the main roads, 21, 170, 278, opened wide enough to move ambulances and fire trucks back and forth. Then we can start looking at opening the roadblocks. So if the order comes to go, plan to be gone at least 5 days.
For residents and visitors who are here, the only way to stay in the know, if I understand you correctly, or is there other options for them to stay in the know, is that number you gave now, during, and after?
That's during and after. The number is not now. We're not putting anything on it now, simply because that's more for the reentry recovery type scenario, and that's the way we've advertised it. Right now, they need to be paying attention to you folks, because you're putting out the information that we ask, plus the official social media sites from the county, from the sheriff's office, from the municipalities. That's where they need to be focused at now to get the information of what they need to know now.
Can you once again reiterate the whole fact that firefighters and police officers will be leaving as well? So if you are calling 911 in your worst possible situation, why they might not be able to show up and help you right away?
Absolutely. There's a point in the storm where we go to shelter. Emergency services responders, first responders go to shelter. And while every one of them is a hero, they are not superheroes. They are not immune to trees falling on them. Houston lost an officer in the floods last week. We're not immune to that. So we have to go to shelter so that we can be part of the solution when it's over with. So there will come a point in time where every responder will be in a shelter in safety. And you can dial 911, and as long as the phone lines are working, we'll take the calls and we'll queue them up. And when the storm is over and the winds have subsided, then we will begin to respond to those calls. But if everyone evacuates, then those calls are not there, and we don't have to deal with that. So if you choose to stay, number one, when the governor issues an order of evacuation, that carries the weight of law. So think about what you're doing if you choose not to stay. But you're choosing to stay. You're saying that I can take care of myself. If a tree falls through my roof and breaks my leg or a family member's leg, I can deal with it. If I have a heart attack or a family member has a heart attack, I can deal with it. If we have some other traumatic injury, I can deal with it. That's the decision you're making if you choose to stay, because I'm going to call 911. They're going to say, we're very sorry. We're going to write your address down. We'll get to you when we can. And that may be a while. If we have a 10-foot storm surge, it could be 24 hours. I'm pulling numbers out of a hat here, but think about it. If the roads are blocked, we can't get to you. We can't get to you until the winds quit blowing. If the winds blow for 24 hours, you're on your own for a minimum of that time. So you need to go. If the order comes from the governor, you need to go.
And if law,
Go ahead.
if law enforcement is leaving, what does that mean for Beaufort County shelters that would have been open?
There are no shelters in Beaufort County in a hurricane. The Red Cross sets the criteria for shelters. There are no approved hurricane shelters in Beaufort County.
So then
All of our shelters are in our host counties of Hampton, Colleton, Jasper, Allendale, and Barnwell counties.
And if the hurricane should go through that area too, would we continue moving inland?
No, ma'am, the reason we leave Beaufort County is the water. We run from the water, we hide from the wind. We're capable of hiding from the wind in those counties. The Red Cross has approved facilities up there for the anticipated winds that would occur in most scenarios. And we won't have the water up there, the storm surge, this sort of thing. Remember during Matthew, again, Highway 21 washed out at Harbor River Bridge, so we couldn't get any vehicles to Harbor, Hunting, or Fripp for about 4 days because the road was washed out. So we run from the water. All of our shelters are inland. Everyone that evacuates. Beaufort County, some counties have multiple evacuation zones. Chatham has 3, Charleston has 3, Horry has 2. Beaufort County has 1, the entire county. We're called the Low Country for a reason. And so you have to get out of here.
When it comes to evacuation, what exactly, just reiterating the evacuation plan, and are buses ready or on standby for them to come to?
We have an evacuation plan involving Palmetto Breeze, and then they're backed up by resources that the state would bring in if Palmetto Breeze was overwhelmed. But Palmetto Breeze plans to be able to lift about 5,000 people if we had to shelter. And we think, based on historical studies and what's happened in the past, that's adequate. If it's not, then we do have resources that we can task the state. We will take the citizens to those buses outside of Beaufort County, bring Palmetto Breeze back for a second lift. But that plan has been rehearsed, it's been practiced multiple times over the years. It's a good, solid plan, and it's worked every time.
I know Governor Scott in Florida has activated the National Guard. Have you heard from the governor about activations?
He declared his state of emergency at noontime, and I think he's doing a press conference now to follow up on that. Once the governor declares the state of emergency in South Carolina, the National Guard, the Highway Patrol, and all the state agencies get their stand-up orders. So that's happening now. Activation is a loose term. In South Carolina, it means that they're reporting actually to the armories and putting on their equipment. We're not at that point yet, but they're getting their orders to prepare for that. And so that will be happening in the next 48, 50 hours or so.
Can you explain how to sign up for Nixle alerts through you guys?
Nixle.com, Nixle.
Go to our website.
Okay, that's the easiest thing. Go to the Sheriff's Office website, bcso.net. There's a button there. Click it. You go to it. Sign up for it. It's free. You select the alerts that you want to receive, and then you'll get them as they come out. Yes, ma'am.
We've got some readers asking if they should turn off their water and electricity during the storm.
No. The reason we discourage that, we tried that during Hugo, and then the storm missed us, and we had a whole lot of freezers that defrosted and that sort of thing. We let the storm take down the utilities. Let them stay up as long, and then if the storm does make, a wild chance that it makes a hard right turn and stays out to sea, the utilities continue to work. So we encourage just let the storm take them down. Any more?
Next briefing?
It won't be until tomorrow. Again, we're just playing these different scenarios out. If there's something more that we need to push out, we'll definitely do this again. And we'll do it again and as often as we need to. Today, I wanted to make sure that everyone, I just thought of this. All of our mayors and our town managers, if you could make sure that Neil has your cell phone information, because we're doing pushes out to you only at different times to make sure that you're where we're at. So if we can get that updated information, we've got most of it, but I think we've got a couple of cell numbers we need to verify. So if we can do that, and when we do those push outs. Now those push outs that we push out are PDF format. So what you get is what you get. You can't change it. Okay, so we do that because we have to protect the information that we send out. So if we send something to you and you can't modify it, it's for a reason. You screenshot or whatever and send it on your way. But we do all of that way. Now it'll be different on the stuff that the PIOs are working on. But whatever comes out of Neil's office will be in that format. Anything else? Thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned. Thank you. Whose numbers do you need?
I got one. They all got it. If they got it this morning, I got it last.